Hello and welcome to the
Hello
RWBY
and welcome to the
podcast.
James Ironwood podcast. Because apparently
Why?
in this episode, Ruby's decisions don't matter. Ruby's not the one driving the plot this volume. It is all James Ironwood. So until Ruby gets back online, it is the James Ironwood podcast. And I
Hey,
know I'm smiling, but I am really not thrilled by this. I like
Oh boy.
Ironwood. He's a great character, but man, it just really feels like they just put everything in this episode was just in his lap. I will explain why later. But I am Robert.
it's an
Off to a
acronym, not a proper name.
off to a wonderful start. Uh I am the second brother of the Sith Inquisition. I am mediocrity.
It is me, high powered, having to filibuster all the plebeians in the Atlesian Senate to support my brother Ironwood and his 2 seats. It is me, high powered.
I am whichever the sister from the Star Wars thing where it was Freddie Prinze Jr.'s wife playing. Didn't Sarah Michelle Gellar play one of them? I'm pretty
Yes,
sure.
she played
I don't know. I was making a
the
reference to Fallen Order, not Rebels.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm making a reference to Rebels because we're gonna do the Clone Wars podcast, which still has Ahsoka in it, so that's my connection there.
yes.
but she did, yes. Sarah Michelle Gellar
because
was
Freddie Prinze Jr. played the main character, the second main character. What's his name?
But you should
Damon.
watch Rebels because Ahsoka is legal in Rebels.
That wasn't going to be my reason. She is my
And-
favorite character, but I mean, it's not as good of a show as as Clone Wars. It's okay. Like if you're a fan of like Ahsoka's character, like I am, then it's worth watching. But otherwise, it's not.
Not the character or the legality. I am, of course, the Shota Whitley who's stuck in a room with his MILF mom, who's now lonely and hard up for that D.
Oh no!
Wait, are you
I'm-
saying Shota as in reference to Dragon Maid, or is that something? Different?
Technically no, but
you know what?
actually yes.
No, but yes.
Shota from
That
Dragon
is-
Maid's name is a reference to Shota, which is the fetish.
Yeah, that's the joke. That's the joke of Luke
Yeah.
calling him Shotakon or Shotakun because it sounds like Shotakon, which is what she is. So that's the joke of that.
That show is already the most over the top thing in the entire universe.
But
so
don't
that
forget-
makes more sense.
That what's her name had incestuous lesbian sex because she got too drunk once.
Well, yeah, they point that out
this is
several
Luke what we're
times.
talking about, yeah.
I just watched Dragon Maid for like the third or fourth time all the way through last week. So
Good show.
I actually still have the DVD is still on top of my pile right now. I'm holding it up
Nice.
right now. It's still my favorite anime show.
Goddamn.
It has the most awkward and ridiculous moment of any show I've ever watched.
God,
And
which
I don't
one?
even feel comfortable discussing it. That's how
Yeah.
bad it is.
I know
You
Uh,
guys
which one you're
exactly
talking
what
about.
I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, do you mean like the part where the maid wants the main
No.
female character to vor
No.
her by constantly
No.
offering her tail?
No, there's way more awkward. There's something way
Yeah.
worse than that in this show.
yeah.
Oh, and Sarah
So-
Michelle Gellar was the seventh sister.
Seventh
Seventh
sister. There you
sister.
go.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah,
Uh,
Hypart, I'm talking like 10 times worse than that.
Yeah. But anyway, on to
So-
Ruby.
so
Vor's
here's
Yeah,
pretty
let's
weird.
get on with it.
Oh yeah,
This
we had an
episode was,
episode.
This episode
Yeah.
was a continuation of the episode that we got 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
which I was not a fan of. And spoiler alert, not a fan of this episode either.
Yep. I think we're overall
Yeah.
pretty negative on this one. This is probably the one we're the most negative on so far in the volume.
I think it's going to be another one of those things that, I don't know, it's partly going to depend. I don't know. Like, it's still a bummer that they dropped a lot of really good, interesting plot points, but I think a lot of it's also going to depend on, like, how the volume ends from here, where it goes from here. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It disappointed me, but it lived up
was
to a
all-
lot of my early predictions.
Yeah,
So
early
I
concerns.
can't really
Yeah.
be pissed off about it because I saw this coming, but I was like, no,
Okay.
this is not.
This is what I was worried of all the buildup, is that they were just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I was worried about, but I felt like they didn't have any reason to, because they kept, they still had that really good buildup. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk.
So in the broad strokes, and I mentioned this in my review, which I do have finished at the time of this recording, but I have not uploaded it yet. Is this episode, particularly the scene with Oscar and Ironwood, gave me the same feeling that I got when Kylo Ren killed Snoke halfway through The Last Jedi. That's the feeling it gave me.
Well, what feeling did that give you? Because I actually didn't hate that.
Me neither.
The fact that, like, oh well, there goes the plot.
Oh, yeah. I see
You
what you're
know,
saying.
like now it's just where do they go from here? Because
I'm
again,
getting more.
just painting in the broad strokes right now.
Yeah.
I prefer my plot outlines. You know the thing like exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. I
Yeah.
prefer
You mean the
my
stuff we
part-
learned in like middle school and high school?
Yes.
Crazy
Yes.
how that
The
works.
stuff that you learned
Isn't-
in, the stuff that you learned in middle school and high school does not actually make for good storytelling, at least not in an action context.
Mm.
It's actually better for it to be a little bit like a roller coaster with rising actions, falling actions, rising action that goes even higher, falling action, rising action that goes even higher, all the way to the climax, and then slowly peters out to the resolution. And in this, it's been like all flat, flat, flat. You know, we had the action scene in episode 3. It's been mostly like flat from there on out, and now it's just gonna be. It's looking like it's gonna be all action, and I think they should have broken up a lot of these resolutions throughout the volume.
Yeah.
And I get that feeling because of how much they skipped in previous episodes. They like the riots and the grim attacks and stuff these cliffhangers that they ended on in previous episodes, and then just next episode starts and it's already resolved. I think a lot of these revelations and a lot of these reactions could have been parsed out more throughout the volume rather than having it all loaded up into this one episode so that the rest can just be action.
And they've been saying that they're going to be spending 2 volumes in Atlas. So why did they have to, why couldn't they have sparsed those, like more of these reveals out later? And so, but no, they decided to just like throw 3 or 4 major plot points just totally out the window all in one go.
What I felt like, I think Robert and I kind of talked about this before the podcast, is this is like they said before that volume 5 was supposed to be the Ba Sing Se volume, and it wasn't even fucking close to being a Ba Sing Se volume. Okay, it was not anywhere near it. This volume actually now feels closer to them trying to do a Ba Sing Se volume, which I can understand, and it might be a coincidence.
Be it on purpose or by accident.
But it's much more similar. And if it is on purpose, I could understand why. It is, in my opinion, the greatest season of TV ever, and that includes live action. You can argue if Avatar is the best show overall, but Ba Sing Se arc is ridiculously good. It's definitely the best animated arc in history. So I can see why they're trying to why they would be trying to recreate that again. And it is similar in that, like, they go to a new place, they got a house kind of place to stay, they kind of don't really trust the ruler. There's a big bad who's actually pulling the strings that they have to face, and that's Jacques in this case. And then who they think is the big bad pulling the strings that they have to stop, they actually stop pretty easily. And then, oh look, there's a female villain that is actually pulling the strings, and that's maybe not that Cinder's really the one pulling the strings, but she's kind of came out of nowhere, like, oh look, I'm actually going to be the big bad in this volume. You thought it was Jacques, but it's not. That's what happened in Ba Sing Se, where you think it's the guy Dai Li guy. What's his name? Long Feng. And it's
Yeah.
and it actually turns out that it's Azula, right? And it's the same kind of all that stuff's kind of the same. You think it's like, wow, this wrapped up kind of easily. Oh wait, nope. We're gonna have
Well,
something else.
But that's
it's
gonna
not
depend.
executed
But
as
like I
well.
said, that's gonna depend on the next few episodes, on what
Yeah,
happens
no,
in
I
these next few
know.
episodes, whether or
It's
not that actually does happen. But again, like, why are we doing all of this in just one volume? Like, why couldn't you space this out over a couple volumes?
No, I agree. Like,
Right.
and I don't think it's necessarily all bad because Watts is still out there. Just because Doc got caught doesn't mean that bad stuff isn't going to happen. Because at least because Watts is still free, and so is Tyrion.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this volume is like trash yet, because it's still this is the worst episode of this volume I think so far, and I didn't hate it.
I wouldn't go.
I fucking hated a certain part of this episode.
Well-
Back on the kill Oscar train,
Are you
but
talking about the Rose Garden shipping? Because it was pretty
Yes.
bad this episode.
because it was
Well-
pretty fucking awful.
Yeah, we'll have some soapboxes
Yeah.
for
And
Yes,
and don't worry, dude. Third time's the charm. They'll get Bossing say right in vacuo.
Well,
Maybe.
I'm holding out hope. I'm crossing my fingers behind my non-existent camera.
Yeah.
So
but-
here's just a thought.
No,
Like
so
this
let's
is
talk about
jumping
the actual
ahead.
episode.
Yeah, I want to say this before like we get started. Like this is jumping ahead just a little bit. Like with Watts's plan is for him. Watts just kind of kicked the boulder down the hill, and he's like, "Oh well, people, I've been had. Oh no, I'm already inside the system. T Hacker Man, I'm in. So it kind of really doesn't matter. But let's talk about this fucking episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my biggest issue is that Jacques was that easy to take down.
Yeah.
That was. I don't mind.
And we didn't get
Weiss-
more time with him
Yeah,
fucking trying to fuck over Ironwood.
I don't mind Weiss. I was surprised Weiss went like straight in and just like gave the evidence right away, because I thought the reason I thought she wouldn't do that was because I thought Jacques would be smart enough, and I thought she would know Jacques would be smart enough that it wouldn't be that easy. But
Hey.
it was that easy, and he was super flustered. And my thoughts are, well, Jacques is supposed to be smart. How did he not know he was being taped? Or Watts, how did Watts walk into that room and not realize that there's cameras in there? Like, I just don't understand how it was that easy and how he was that flustered and that easy to take down. What? Even if somebody breaks him out or whatever, like, he was caught red-handed, and he was flustered and he was pathetic. And I understand like why the writers want to make him look that pathetic, but it's weird. Like I don't. That's not satisfying
It's too
to
easy.
me.
Yeah,
like
they
I-
didn't have to work
There's no
hard.
catharsis when the villains go down too easy.
It's well, the other thing too.
Exactly.
It's like he should be smart enough to stay like, well, I'm not going to say anything until my lawyer is here, and then he just stays silent as he's dragged off into the fucking police wagon.
Yeah,
Yep.
again,
Yeah.
it happened all too fast, and I don't blame Watts because all Watts needed was his credentials, and he was logged in, so he
Yeah,
Doesn't
Watts
care?
doesn't
So you
care
could
anymore.
argue that he got what he needed, and he
Yeah.
was just like, "Okay, I'm done with you. They'll
He was-
probably catch you pretty quick here, and I don't really give a fuck." That's
He was
true.
like, "Hey man, can I have that lanyard with your ID card on it? Thanks. I gotta go now.
Basically.
I'll
I'm just gonna
back."
use it to catch up on Netflix.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. He was just like, "Yeah, I need your." Yeah, exactly. It's just like, "I need your ID, your password."
So, yeah,
Okay.
like,
It would've-
Jacques was just short-sighted, and a lot of this just kind of compounds into him looking really stupid.
And yeah, Jacques was just like, "Okay, sure thing. Here's my ID, and the password for that is XX underscore white mama got that fat booty underscore XX."
Yeah.
Uh,
And we did kind of, I don't know, we did kind of predict that, Watts would just kind of toss Jacques aside when he no longer needed him and stuff like that, and that he would get caught. But yeah, I don't think we expected it this fast, this quickly.
again, it
But
should
so-
have been parsed out more throughout the rest of this volume.
Yeah. So I guess, do we want to talk about like the actual scenes that we get, or
Yeah. So the first one, it's snowing in Atlas or Mantle, I guess now.
Everyone's pissed
Which is
about it.
apparently a no-no, even though I'm pretty sure there was already snow buildup on the streets in previous.
Did the
episodes,
person who
I'm not
designed
sure.
the heating for the
something.
entire city also design the CCTV towers? Because
Yes.
like
Guess so.
this is really
Maybe.
fucking retarded. It's like, okay, wait, so
Yeah.
everyone doesn't have heat? Like the houses don't have their own heating unit on their own
that's
system?
okay. I was
Like this
gonna
is
get- I was
really
gonna
this
get
is
into
really
that
fucking
later.
retarded.
Yeah, I was gonna get.
There
into this
is a part
later.
later in this where they're all, oh, they want us to
But-
be relying on them. They want to control us. It's all like, no, they already do, you fucking retards.
Yeah, literally. All they
So-
have to. If Ironwood was in charge, like
Apparently, they
Peter
already do.
should be, he could
So-
easily
so-
be like, "Fuck you! I'm turning the heat off if you don't fucking fall in line, plebs."
So let's kind of break down the revelation I kind of had with this episode.
Go for it.
Every single finale has been predicated on the stupidest of bullshit. So, Volume 1, the entire finale was predicated on one, Blake not realizing how bad the White Fang was despite her having just left the organization a few months earlier. Two,
And not thinking they
Um,
didn't need
yeah,
that much dust,
two,
even though
her
she's
thinking
still
her-
Anyway,
yeah,
sorry.
two, her thinking that they would never rob a dust shop, even though her literal last mission as a White Fang was robbing an entire train of dust. And three, nobody ever finding out that she is a cat faunus, despite having spending an entire semester in a room full of girls. And four, Sun just so happening to guess correctly on where the White Fang was going to strike. Volume 2, more bullshit. It's one, predicated on Ruby making the assumption that Torchwick and Cinder are connected. Two, Ozpin not, sending in professionals and instead sending a bunch of fucking freshmen. Three, Ruby or Zwei in this case, Zwei just happening to go to the bathroom and running into the White Fang. Four, Ruby, despite being able to carry around Crescent Rose with ease, not being strong enough to lay out a single goon with a punch. Whatever number I'm on now,
6?
the entire team splitting up on the train for no reason and going into one-on-one fights. And then that leading to the Grim invasion. Volume 3, Cinder's entire speech. It's predicated on Cinder's speech. It's predicated on nobody realizing that Penny is a robot and therefore could hypothetically be rebuilt, and thinking that Pyrrha is responsible, even though as soon as it happened, fucking condescending ass voice lady on the megaphone hacks the network and just speaks to the entire world about how this was not an accident and that she fucking planned it, and the only one figuring that out was Jean. Volume 4.
John
honestly, the
bends
least
over and he's like, "They played us like a damn fiddle."
Yeah. Honestly, Volume 4, the least amount of bullshit, but it's predicated on the Nuklavi wiping out entire villages and never getting hunted down, despite being relatively close to the city of Mistral. Volume 5, need I say more? Cinder's plan, Raven's motivation, Cinder's motivation, Salem not stepping in when she should have about the plan. I've been waiting for the plot to literally call them on the phone. I could go on and on about Volume 5. And Volume 6, predicated on two old ladies having a dick measuring contest involving a giant robot and a bunch of teenagers, and also Adam having followed the team somehow.
Because he literally has nothing better to do.
And on this, the entire climax
And at
is
that
going
point,
to
he
be
kind of didn't, but yeah.
and on this, the entire climax is going to be predicated on nobody
Centralized
realizing
media.
nobody realizing that the Penny footage was doctored or seeing the cuts, and
While being an idiot.
and two, nobody in Mantle having personal heaters.
Not even space heaters.
I mean, you got to pay for the space heater. Theoretically, the space heater runs on a crystal that
Oh
you got to
god.
pay for too.
If it's literally just a must socialism thing where it's like everyone's heat's paid for by the state.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying on Twitter. I was like, can you imagine like all of this happening because like 10, 15 years earlier, some Bernie Sanders ass dude was like, heating is a human right. There are people in Mantle freezing to death because they don't have access to free, unlimited heating.
Pretty much. That's what it's looking like.
God, just imagine if you were
And
like,
then-
oh, well, that makes the war seem even worse. Where it's like all they have to do to win the war in Atlas is it's like they got to send some spies in to destroy the heat, and they just sit outside the walls and wait for everyone to freeze until they come to the negotiating table. That's why they fucking lost the war, probably.
That's why the Elysians should actually be more like the Russians in World War II. They didn't have heating, but they had potato vodka, and that was able to keep them feeling warm even while they weren't actually.
If
and
your
it
blood
kept them
alcohol
alive through the-
content is high enough, you don't suffer frostbite. This is not real. Don't test this theory.
Yes.
Yeah, no, they. Yeah, and someone even says at one point, "Oh, Atlas is trying to control us." It's like you're only just figuring this out, you fucking moron.
See, when you send away your rights to the government, they can give you everything that you want, but they can also take it away.
Take it
at their own-
away.
Mm.
Yeah.
On purpose or by
So-
mistake.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
or.
Fucking misplace a zero, and all of a sudden you go from having $100 in healthcare to 10.
Yeah.
Go in
That
for
was-
wisdom teeth removal, get infected in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
people freak
that's,
out there and start up a big bonfire and the Grim start coming in.
And
That's
yes,
basically everything that
that
happens in
wisdom
the-
teeth thing is real.
Yeah.
That's not a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will
Just
say
in
this,
case
though.
just in case you missed the podcast where we talked about that. Yeah, that happened to Coop a few weeks ago, months ago.
Hey,
now?
it was a couple months
Wow,
ago at
yeah.
this point now.
Yeah.
It was October.
I will
Yeah.
say this though. Whenever the Grim start attacking, that shot of the elephant Grim rolling in was a really
Yeah,
good
the
shot. That
I'm
looked
just-
really
Yeah.
good. Whoever animated that needs a
was cool.
fucking raise.
I-
That what
I'm
they
just-
Kind of
did.
reminded me of Return of the King.
I'm just glad that the Goliaths are actually doing something for once.
They actually look
Because-
cool now too.
Alright.
Also,
Well, they
Because
haven't
the-
really done anything yet. They only kind of did something.
Well, they're
I need to see
doing.
them
They're in
killing
the
people.
midst. They're in the midst
Yeah.
of doing.
Yeah,
Which
You need to
is-
see
which
them
is more
killing
like
people
Dynamo.
and
I mean, that's
being
what I'm-
killed.
That's an improvement by RWBY standards, but I need to see them actually fucking kill someone. Okay.
oh, and we got Terry the Pterodactyl in the show now too. Also,
yeah, that is true.
he's
It
not
looked.
a
It kind of
hero.
reminded me of a raptor.
Is all right.
I
So
mean, the
let me-
way its
let me
claws
nerd out
and
a
like
little bit.
its legs were shaped, it reminded me of a raptor.
Hold up, we got the
wings.
dinosaur nerd
So-
to
so
explain
let
it
me-
to
Go,
let
us.
me-
go, media, go.
No, this is not a dinosaur. This is not any kind of archosaur or any kind of realistic vertebrate.
Ah, damn it,
Okay.
suck it.
Sorry.
Technically, because it technically has 6 limbs. This is the kind of dragon that has, 4 arms, legs, and then wings separate.
Wings. Okay.
All vertebrates only have 4 limbs. Because
so
we
it's a
were
flying
all,
basilisk.
because yes, basically.
That's
it
why I
is
said
just-
raptor
it
with
is-
wings.
Yeah, it is an actual just dragon. It is actually more of a mystical dragon than the Sea Fei Long from Volume 4 or the Wyvern from Volume 3.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I cut.
This is all This is all very detailed
Hey,
taxonomic rules here.
The
I-
the,
I-
the scalies that are
I
listening
tap out
right
when it
now
comes to, like-
appreciate these distinctions because they all have very specific and oddly shaped reptile-like penises. So we got to make sure to notate these differences for
Well,
the furry
actually,
fan art.
I just didn't care when there was that
Actually,
big kerfuffle over whether or not Grim Dragon, as it
Well,
called in
yeah.
3,
Well, Wyvern
was
is just a
actually a
type of
wyvern.
dragon.
I did not give a
Yeah,
fuck.
It is a dragon.
And I think anyone who gave a fuck was stupid.
The thing is, every wyvern is a dragon, but not every dragon is a wyvern. Wyverns are like squares.
If you want to
Dragons
get
are
deep into the
quadrilaterals.
lore, there is such a thing as the true dragons, which are as media described, and there's the wyverns. Then you've got linorms, uh, amphitheers, which is something that very few people actually know about, but it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That's
Don't
basically
Yeah.
just a
don't
winged
true
serpent.
dragons just collect a bunch of gold and like slowly amass a
Well,
harem of
in-
females because they're
in some-
shapeshifters?
Yeah, in some legends and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a dragon sitting on a pile of gold and like a whole bunch of changed up consensual sex slaves,
Now,
you know, in my
those
lair.
legends probably come from merchant ships sinking in rivers like the Nile, which are heavily croc infested, and then the crocodiles just kind of sleeping on it.
That's what I'd do if I was a crocodile.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing, but I'd, keep the women for myself.
Yeah.
But so we get to the
So the
Okay.
first like kind of council scene in this, where they finally do what they should have done last episode and actually address what their complaints with Ironwood are, which is the fact that he has too much unchecked power. So I like the scene.
And he's
Again, I
keeping
think it should have
secrets.
been in last episode. Yeah, he's using his authority to keep
They're
secrets.
not wrong for
and
being upset about that, by the way.
They are not. And like
That's fair. That's fair.
yeah, he is getting hit from every side. He's getting hit from the real council members, from Jock,
And from Hill.
and from Hill. As was Winter still sitting down with them?
Yeah, she was.
I
in
think
the
so,
back.
yeah.
Winter is still like. On
Yeah,
his side.
Winter's playing like
yeah, she's standing by the door.
Winter's
Like,
being the voyeur right now. She's sitting there watching Iron Daddy getting like publicly humiliated.
High powered, can you say anything without making it fucking weird?
No, why not?
I just
Hey,
wanted to make sure. I
yeah.
just wanted to double check.
I look forward to whenever
So-
I have to come to California so we can go hang out and have a beer.
I know.
Mm.
Yeah.
It
I'm
may
excited
happen to
slash
me one of
scared.
these days as well. Again,
Yeah.
in a better
Oh,
way.
you-
Poor.
And then Hill's all like, "Hey, you all know what my semblance is. Let's see if you're actually telling us the truth when you say you're not hiding."
And you think like everyone in the room would just immediately shove their hands into their pockets because they're like, man, fuck this.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, they all already know that could kind of explain like why she's there, because that's a pressing question. Why did they even invite Robin Hill, knowing that what her symbol?
I guess Jacques was
Like,
hoping
well-
she would, force Ironwood to tell
I
the
get
truth.
that.
or
I get
something.
that Jacques' entire motivation, and I think this whole dinner thing was just Jacques' plan. Like this had nothing to do with Watts's plan.
But it backfired.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like if Jock told Watts about it, Watts would be like, why the fuck are you doing this? You won the election. Just fucking show up to work the next day. Don't be an
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
they pretty much say
I'm
make
still,
it. Yeah.
I'm still of the opinion that like Jacques wanted to get back at Ironwood by having like him sit at the same table as like in theory his arch nemesis Robin Hill, and potentially like have him give up one of his seats to her and have her take over the academy or whatever to
Or both
further
of them, yeah.
further reduce his power to something far more insignificant to what it is now.
Yeah.
But then none of that happens.
Wise
She ends up taking
person
the side.
and which it feels like, and wise person with her scroll, which basically
Hold up, because I
tells
think
everything.
that's in the next scene, because we get we get
Well, no, we have-
some dude telling Jacques what's going on and he doesn't say anything about it. Then what does Robin say here? She says something. Oh, she's just like, you're afraid of something, and that's when she offers to use her.
Doesn't she have, like, her voice acting actually got better in this episode. It's still not amazing,
A
though. But
little bit.
Yeah. a little bit.
Yeah, and then Weiss does burst in the scene. I was thinking it was in the next scene that she burst in.
Yeah.
But yeah, she bursts in, plays the message. Ironwood shows amazing restraint by not just pulling out his gun and executing Jacques on the spot.
it's a
Which
shame
he
this
should
isn't...
have done.
It's a shame this isn't the Warhammer 40k universe, and he isn't like a commissar or a general or an inquisitor, because he should have just unzipped his gun and would have been like, pow, and then called it a day. But that would have made him a Puritan Inquisitor. If he was a Radical Inquisitor, he would have spent time with the Flesh Flayers and made him sing like a caged bird, and then he would have died a terrible death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I love Warhammer 40k. It's a great universe.
Pretty damn dope.
So Weiss arrests Jacques, and then we cut back.
I
to the
did think
city,
that
and
part
it's
was
the
kind of funny.
bonfire.
Weiss whips out her
Can I do this?
identification, like, you're under arrest, and then she's like, wait, can I do that? Like, I don't know.
And then I was like,
I'm sure she's always wanted to do something like that. Like, that's been her secret dream for years, but she's like, wait, am I actually authorized?
Weiss was actually really jealous of Neptune and Son whenever they got to be police officers.
I was gonna say Junior Detective's female version is fucking Weiss and Blake.
There
Chilling.
we go.
But wait, what would they get instead of mustaches that would have to denote them as female police officers?
Sunglasses.
Sunglasses?
just-
Or no, it would be the little holdout pistol holster that's like the frilly thing that's
yeah.
like in the high waist, like on the high thigh.
Oh yeah, and they would have a nightclub scene in which they dressed in the revealing dresses.
And they're like, hey, I'm gonna, hey, big boy, you wanna, come back to my place? And then they're like, ha, you're arrested for prostitution. And the guy's like, joke's on you, the tripod's right there.
Yep.
So Watts is just chilling in the streets, enjoying the snow. Tyrion is
Looks like
there
Tyrion's
with
about to
him.
go on a rampage, maybe. Or another rampage.
They're watching the bonfire. People
Pumped up
freaking
kids
out.
plays faintly in the distance
Yeah.
when Tyrion shows up.
And then we cut back to Ironwood. He's grilling Jacques, and Jacques like, "I just wanted to win the election. I didn't know I didn't know what he was gonna do with my login credentials to the Atlas network. I only knew that he was a
How he
hacker
was
man."
going to win. Yeah.
Again, Jacques is such a dumbass. in this
Well, and then
episode.
they also dropped the thing too, where it's like, well, Watts was supposed to die in the Paladin incident, whatever
the
that
Paladin
means.
incident. Yeah. So I guess he.
I know exactly what it
So
is. They were testing out a new thing, and just like when they were testing out the Osprey, it fucking crashed and he just blew up or some shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the Osprey that just
So-
like kills Marines because that's what
Yep.
it does.
Yeah. So I guess they were
It
trying
doesn't
to.
do that anymore. They fixed it,
Yeah.
but a lot of people died test
Yeah.
piloting it.
Well,
So
like
I guess
the-
it seems like maybe it wasn't just a hacker. Maybe it was also in robotics or something. But
well,
we know he was in robotics because he made Tyrion's tail.
Yeah, well, my thought
That's
process too with the whole like Paladin incident was like, they were like, man, how do we test the effectiveness of this robot? It's like, man, we've got all these death row inmates here, and they're sitting there, they're looking at an arena, and they're looking at the list of inmates, and then they're looking at the robots, and we're like, oh sweet, we'll have a fight club with the robots to test them. This is sick.
Yeah,
just my shitty headcanon.
I said this in a previous podcast, I think like a year or two ago now. Where I've never liked just generic science man who's good at all science man. And that's very much like what Watts is. I prefer my
Becoming.
scientists. I prefer my scientists to be specialized.
I still like
well,
Watts,
because it's
though.
not realistic for them to just be all around sciencey. Like, yeah, most scientists do specialize. Just because you're good at hacking doesn't mean you're also good at robotics. Sorry.
Yeah. Though he
But
could,
apparently in the
he could
RWBY
hypothetically
verse
have
it
just
does.
been. He could have hypothetically just been an AI, but then that doesn't explain how he's able to make Tyrion's tail. Whatever. Maybe Tyrion's tail is actually very simple, and he's whatever.
Who knows?
Doesn't
But
really
anyway.
matter. It's just a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
So Clover, for some reason, is the one that gets to call about Mantle, and nobody else does. So he steps out. We get this shot of Ironwood framed with the Nicholas Schnee painting that we got a glimpse of last episode as he's like staring down at Jacques. Again, probably showing amazing restraint by not like choking him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, they basically, they clear a penny, they do all this stuff. Like it turns out like, oh yeah, since Watts is still alive, he'd be the perfect person to like be able to do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
It's like that should have been the road to them figuring out it was
Yeah.
Watts, not the end of the road.
yeah. Which that was a worry we had with last episode with
Yeah.
them
That it would all
doing
just get resolved
that at
way
the
too quickly,
cliffhanger.
and it did.
Yeah, where are they going from here now? Because it's so weird that like they set up all this stuff and we thought this was going to be the volume, and then it's basically all done. Like, what did they? Yeah, and they still have to put the fucking, communications tower up or whatever. But like,
It's
I
all
don't
just
know.
action.
All
Well,
of their
you see,
options
this is
gone,
my
yeah.
thing right now is
they took no effort to take down Jacques. That annoys me.
yeah, that is true, but it feels like Volume 3 where there's such an escalation now. And it's kind of really predictable too. It's like, well, they've got to solve the Watts problem. Where in Volume 3 it's like, well, we got to solve this, grim invasion and like the robots going crazy problem.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
don't know, it's just like again, sorry to make this comparison, but I'm gonna do the Bossing Say arc comparison from Last Airbender, Avatar Last Airbender, not that fucking M Night Shyamalan ding dong bullshit. The thing is, like, yeah, okay, they took down Long Feng before the end of the volume, but again, like, you knew they also hinted more at Azula coming in and like being important, right? She didn't just show up like the way Cinder did. I also don't like that either. Like, it's
Long
not
Feng
a
did not go
surprise
down
reveal.
easy.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's the other thing. Long Feng was very, very difficult to take down, actually. And then it's like, oh shit, we're still not done yet. It's even worse now. Fuck, right? The thing is, like, Cinder coming in is like, okay, yeah, like we knew she was gonna come back eventually. This is not really a surprise, and she hasn't done shit. What are we scared of? She's not even working with the same people. Like, what is this gonna be? That was my other question. I was like, okay, so she's not really working with Watts, is she? Like, she's just gonna do her own thing? Is it gonna be a three-way battle? Like, that's not really.
I feel like so as I've said before, Cinder is the proverbial bull in the china shop. So, well, in all practicalness, it's safe to assume that Neo has been watching Team RWBY for the better part of this volume, as Cinder's been chilling alone in some random ass abandoned apartment room. And also, she's still looking pretty good in her like fucking weird like leather BDSM dress. And
Cinder's design looks terrible.
I like it. I like weird,
Neo's
sexy
design looks
clothes.
fly.
It's not practical.
It doesn't
Neo's
have to be
design is-
practical. But
Neo's design is looking fly though, with that neckerchief thing she got
but
going
like
on.
the thing for me is it's like I feel that I say the bull in the proverbial china shop, but with Cinder it feels more like the reasonable thing that she's gonna do is what I like to call fight refereeing, and it's gonna be like Ruby's gonna be like, "Yay, we did it! We won the thing!" And then just like a fucking flame spear just like appears in her chest, and she's gonna be like, "Ow!" And then that's what happens. I swear to God, though.
Either that or she's going for the Winter Maiden. But
I don't even think I don't even think anyone knows about. I don't even think the Winter Maiden is really even in play right now. Is the other
Yeah,
thing.
no.
That's
Yeah.
I still
not sure we're
think
gonna-
That's
the-
next
I
volume.
Still think that the winter. I still think that the Winter Maiden stuff is going to be next volume, because Cinder's goal in going to Atlas wasn't to get the relic or the maiden; it was to get Ruby.
yeah.
She wanted Neo. She needed Neo's help to kill Ruby for two reasons: one, Silver Eyes weakness, and two, Salem wants
She
Ruby
hates her.
alive, but Neo is under no such obligation. So Cinder is gonna basically let Neo loose on Ruby, and have her kill Ruby, and then Cinder's gonna like try scooping up the relic and try to get back into Salem's good graces from
But
there.
they accidentally kill Oscar instead.
So if if
sure.
Neo
I'd
kills
be down for that.
Ruby and Cinder is watching, is that just weird snuff cuckold porn with extra steps?
Yes.
Yes. hmm
Cinder's gonna voyeur it. She's gonna diddle herself while Neo's
Oh no! I
cuts
did not
Ruby's
need that
eyes
image in my
out.
head.
Hey, she's got that wackily inflatable arm flailing grim arm. She could probably finger blast herself into the stratosphere if she wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably what she does in the hotel room all day.
She's like,
That's
well,
what I do.
It's like I've maxed out my credit card on room service. I guess I'm gonna masturbate now.
Yep.
As media dies.
Yeah. But so we skipped,
just-
I don't know, a couple other things that went down during the council meeting. So I don't know, like Ironwood Star.
Ironwood
so
spills the
Wong has
beans.
access.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is another thing that just got resolved. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just tell these people about Amity now.
Yeah,
And
like what?
and another
And it sucks
problem.
because they kind of had an interesting setup for it because
Yeah.
they're talking about how they well, yeah, so they're talking about how what's in their system. He's looking through a bunch of stuff, and Ironwood immediately like, oh shit, did he? And Ruby's all like, how much does he know? And like, he and Ruby are both all like, oh shit, does he know about Amity? He's worried about Amity while people are freezing to death in Mantle. Like, I thought they were gonna have this whole thing where Robin Hill's all like, are you serious right now? People are dying in Mantle, and you're worried about your stupid pet project? Like, I thought they were going to, have some sort of thing about that. I thought they were going to go into that. But no, Ironwood just tells.
But it's a
Yeah.
pet project that's geared to saving the entire world. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but from her perspective, it looks like you're just, worried about your stupid pet project that I don't even know what it is, and I don't even,
She says
this
in the same
long-term
episode, or
thing.
she says in the same episode or the previous episode, like, but people are hurting in Mantle now, or whatever. She says something along those lines. So why is she not more mad?
Like it would have made sense for that to be her like concern or her frustration there, but no. Oscar comes in and convinces, for some reason, Clover brings Oscar in and not John. Fuck Oscar. Fuck Oscar. Fuck Oscar. But and like, I don't know, like, just remember at the beginning of this volume when it was all about the leaders and stuff like that, but no, apparently Oscar is more important.
Also, another fuck Oscar.
Yeah, and Oscar convinces Ironwood to just tell everyone. Just tell everyone. Anyway.
Here's why that particularly doesn't annoy me, because Oscar is, for all intents and purposes, and they're really setting this up, he's Ozpin. He's Ozpin again.
He shouldn't be.
Like,
sure.
Like they
which makes the flirting even fucking creepier.
They totally tell. We have soapboxes for when we get there. So he really only comes in order to be the one to tell Ironwood about Salem's immortality, which I think is fitting. I think it is fitting for him to be the one to tell Ironwood. I thought he was gonna spill the beans a few episodes ago. Because, for all intents and purposes, he does have Ozpin's soul inside of him. This was Ozpin's call originally to keep this stuff a secret. And it shows that Oscar is at least progressing. Like, if he is Ozpin really at this point, then it shows development on Ozpin's part. If not, then it differentiates how Oscar is doing things versus how Ozpin did things. And Oscar is taking much more of the RWBY route. And he doesn't do this until he gets Ruby's permission. And Ruby was going to, but she's got Huntress business to attend to.
That was another thing
I was actually okay with all that.
What annoyed me is, besides the flirting,
except for the fact that it happened this episode and not later on.
The flirting was the worst part. But another bad part about that is another thing that got wrapped way too easy. It's like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna tell Ironwood. Okay, I thought that was gonna be a much bigger deal. That Ironwood was gonna find out and be angry at them, and there would be some distrust there. No, okay, we're just gonna tell him now. It's gonna be fine. Yeah. Like, really? And everything got wrapped up. What?
And this is why I say that this was the James Ironwood episode. Because the way Ruby and Oscar talk about it, it seems like she was like testing him or something. Like she was waiting for him to, come forward and tell everyone about this stuff, even though that's what he was already planning on doing. So it's like, Ruby's decision, not the one making the decisions here. She's just reacting. Ironwood's like, this basically made her the antagonist to Ironwood as the protagonist. So Ruby is not the main character of like this. She hasn't been the main character since episode 2 of this volume. It's Ironwood now.
I think Ironwood is, from his reaction, he is understanding of why they would keep something like this a secret. But he proved himself with how he's handling this current situation with people in Mantle freezing to death, that he is ready for like that kind of responsibility, and even he's like, "Man, this is a lot to drop on me all at once, kid. Just no more surprises, please." Uh,
But the character who's supposed to be proving themselves should be the protagonist. Ruby should be the one who has to prove herself. She has never had to prove herself
well, she has to prove herself
since
to deliver
Volume 1.
information that she already has.
Well,
She's the one with the cards.
For me,
That's the-
it's
Well, I'm not.
for
I don't
me,
know.
it's kind of a steel sharpening steel sort of thing where, like, Ruby's kind of growing with Ironwood, and Ironwood's kind of testing herself with Ruby. Like, I
But
feel
it
like that's
doesn't
what they
feel
kind of.
that
I feel
way.
that's what they aimed for. I don't know if that's what they got though.
Maybe that's not what they aiming for, but it feels like Ruby was testing him for some reason, and
But
she's
she had to be sure.
17. He has
She
no
had to
business
be
testing.
she had to be sure because I mean, when Osmond found out,
I
he
under-
lost hope. When Crow found out, he nearly got them. He got so fucking drunk that they almost all got killed by the apathy. When
I
Jean
get
found out,
that,
he
but
punched a hole in the wall. If Ironwood were to have a similar reaction, shit would really be bad.
I understand. I understand why Ruby kept this secret. I understand why she's been keeping this secret this entire time. I
Yeah.
understand why she felt like she needed to, but I don't like the way that this played off. It didn't feel. It made. I'm trying to think of how to put this. Like, because like I said, it makes Ruby feel like the antagonist. It makes. Okay, Ruby is the Willy Wonka to Ironwood's Charlie. You know, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? Willy Wonka was testing Charlie the entire time, waiting for him to do the right thing, to, make an unselfish decision, prove that he was the child that he could trust the factory to. All right. But Charlie's decisions are what were important. This makes Ruby Willy Wonka, Ironwood is Charlie, or Ironwood is Captain America, and Ruby is the professor guy who decided he was worthy to get the super soldier serum. Like, that's what it feels like here. It doesn't feel like Ruby's the one running the action. It doesn't feel like her decisions are running the story. It feels like it's Ironwood that's driving the plot right now. So that's what I feel. And again, I still think it would have been better for it to come back and bite Ruby in the ass. For that reveal, that secret keeping to bite Ruby in the ass.
I'm more on Media's side in that I agree that I understand why she did it. Like I don't completely agree with it, but I get it. So I don't think it turns her into the villain at all. But I do not.
Maybe not the villain, but it just doesn't feel like it was her choice or her decision.
But I agree. I don't like how it ended up. I don't like how everything wrapped up way too neatly. And I understand, like, there's still going to be problems that they're going to have to face or whatever in this volume or whatever, right? But it's still not. It's not what we were expecting. Like, they're going to make up some other stuff or whatever that we're going to have to deal with. But like, I would have rather, actually had to deal with the problems that we were facing that we knew about, and then actually had to solve those. But they're not.
I mean, like, I would have appreciated there being some consequences, and then everybody telling her, hey, keeping this shit close to your chest was not the right way to do things.
Yeah.
You messed up.
Yeah.
You actually had a flaw,
Yeah. And because they've been questioning her on this decision throughout this volume. And yes, Crow gave her a reason why she shouldn't be upset by it. And again, like, she's not as bad as Ozpin was by doing this. She was like, I don't even necessarily think this necessarily made her a bad person. I understood why she did it, but the fact that there are no consequences and it just worked out for her without.
It's too early to tell about
any problems.
consequences. Like, I don't think they were ever going to go in the direction of Ironwood ruining everything because he loses hope or whatever. I never thought that they were going to go in that direction.
Yeah, I didn't think that either.
My more pressing concern is other people finding out because of Ironwood, whether he tells people over the CCT or someone came up with a theory that Willow has cameras in every room of the house.
And so she was
So
recording
so
that
she
and she
was
revealed it to everyone
yeah, and
or
so
something.
she's gonna reveal that to people. Um, I don't subscribe to that theory because I don't think Willow is gonna be that important of a character going forward.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Willow literally
She was
just
She's
wrote
only
herself
already
there
out of the
basically a
story.
Deus Ex Machina. But
She was only
Like
there
it,
for
like
one
if she
reason.
like if she
really.
had like if she had no reason to just bust Jacques right then and there, then she has no reason to spoil Oscar and Ironwood's.
maybe she'll be.
Especially since she has absolutely no idea who or what Salem is. Like for all
Yeah.
she knows, Salem is a fucking immortal tree that just tells people what to do and actually has no true power of its own.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe there'll be a sub arc of her trying to be an actual mom to Whitley now, but yeah,
Maybe.
I don't know. It just
That'll
felt like it was
happen
too
in the
neat,
comic book.
and I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go out and buy that.
I'm a couple chapters behind on the DC comic, but
Oh
I've
God,
seen
you're actually
bits and
keeping
cheap.
up with
I've
it.
I was gonna
seen
say,
some
you're actually
shit.
But I
reading
just
that
said.
shit.
I'm wanting to do a video on it eventually.
Okay.
I suppose you have to
I've been reading it
professionally.
mostly just for
Yeah.
funsies. There are some concepts in there
It's
that
so
actually
stupid.
kind of like
It's so fucking
like
retarded.
them keeping farm animals on like the academy grounds and stuff like that. I think that's an interesting idea and an interesting concept.
They used to do that at the
The
White
idea
House. You
of-
don't have to pay. You don't have to pay my relatives to come mow the lawn. The sheep do it for you.
Hmm.
Yeah, or just like them having like keeping them there to like teach these huntsmen to actually to like do more to earn their keep on farmland other than be bodyguards and stuff like that. I think that's an interesting idea that I
Maybe
kind of
maybe
like.
actually the reason they do it is for that GSG9 shit where you get a chicken given to you and you raise it and name it and then you have to take it out to the
And then you have to
slaughterhouse.
shoot it.
Yes. Yes.
Basically, raise it from an egg. Yeah. Who knows? But there were a couple ideas in there that I kind of like, even though the execution is garbage. But yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say something about.
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Fuck, what was? Oh yeah, Ironwood's kind of reaction to this whole situation. Like going back a little bit. Before the huntsman like leave, like when he finds out that all this is happening. I like his reaction and stuff. I don't think it's all that compelling. And I have to bring up a review I saw for the new Adam Sandler movie. What the fuck is it called? The Diamond something? Let me look it up real quick.
I haven't seen an Adam Sandler movie since a long time.
No, basically this
Yeah.
movie's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. Like there's talks of Adam Sandler being nominated for Best Actor and stuff in it.
Oh, is this one
So
of
I'm
those
assuming-
dramatic ones of his
Yeah,
rather than the comedic?
yeah.
I mean, I've
ones?
heard he can do dramatic, so
Oh yeah, and Punch
that's
Drunk
cool,
Love
I
was
guess.
great.
He just shouldn't direct because his comedies are
Well-
stupid.
Well, he just doesn't care half the time. Honestly, like watch Grown Ups. You really think he gave a fuck about Uncut Gems? Is the name of the movie I'm thinking of. So it's a review for Uncut Gems, and they compared it to Joker, and they said that Uncut Gems is a far superior movie to Joker because in Uncut Gems, the main character played by Adam Sandler makes decisions and then suffers the consequences for them, whereas Archer Fletcher, whatever, in the Joker, just has a bunch of shit happen to him beyond his control. And so that's
would argue is kind of the
Ironwood
point,
kind of here feels more. It's just an inherently less interesting concept of a character when they're not making their own decisions. It's a Joker is a reactive protagonist versus Adam Sandler and Uncut Gems being a very proactive protagonist. Ironwood here, like he was very proactive in the first parts of the volume, but a lot of this stuff going on right now is beyond his control. But he's trying to make the best of it. He's trying to take control of the situation with the people he trusts. People like Ruby, Oscar, Clover, Crow. He's trying to Winter, Penny, whatever. Um, not to leave anybody out. Uh, so he's trying to like seize back control of the situation and save as many people as he can. For me, I'm gonna say it. Ironwood's a better character than the Joker. As far by that merit, by that criteria of what makes a good protagonist, Ironwood is better than Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Hey, and the Joker didn't even say the Game Awards, so that movie's automatically terrible.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness. I am gonna get some hate for that comment, but Joker's a very divisive movie, and I'm kind of erring on the side of not liking it as much as a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I ain't seen it yet,
That's,
so
again,
I
kind
gotta-
of what I've been saying here. You know, Ironwood and leading the action and doing what he can here. But so yeah, so that's like I agree that Ironwood's a good character and it's cool to follow him. It like I don't know. It's better than in Volume 5 when everybody was just letting Ozpin tell them to just sit around and do nothing. Like at least Ironwood has them doing things. But it's still
Oscar even brings that up. Like he name drops episode 2. We're looking for a new approach.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a
also-
question I need to pose: is would Volume 5 have been better if Ozpin was doing what Ironwood was doing? If Ozpin was being as proactive as Ironwood was in this volume, and Ozpin was actually that in Volume 5. Volume 5 probably would have been a better series.
There's a lot.
Because the heroes would have actually been doing something, and one of the biggest problems is the heroes do nothing throughout the entirety of Volume 5. They let the plot come to them.
Because Ironwood's still a quest
if they
giver,
had done
is the
something,
thing.
it would have still been really frustrating if they just done what Ozpin told them. In my fanfic, I have them basically completely going against his plan. Like Jean's just like, well, Ozpin says this, but fuck him, basically. But like they actively,
But
in
what
certain
you're saying
ways
is
they
that
would.
even if
But-
they went along with it, at least they actually would be doing something.
Yeah. But yeah, if they had actually done something in Volume 5, yes, it would have been a better.
Which I mean, like, what they did do was really, really dumb too. Is the problem? Is the secondary problem there? But I don't really want to get into that.
Yeah,
that at least has been taken care of.
Let's move on to the stupidity in this episode, the worst part of this episode.
Oh, Oscar and Ruby have a weird, awkward flirting thing where they decide to tell Ironwood.
Okay, soapbox time first. I guess I'll go first. So
Hit it.
this fucking sucks, and Oscar is the worst, and he needs to die again. Actually, I was never really off the Oscar dying train, but like he just wasn't as bad. Now I'm back to fucking wanting him dead. The thing is, that scene was really fucking awkward, and it was not cute, and it was not adorable. Here's the thing, even in ships I hate, I can say like, oh, that was cute, or like that was like, okay, I can see that all this stuff, right? I can admit like that was well done, or no, this was just dumb. They've done a lot of like these really weird, awkward, kind of flirty moments, which is weird that they didn't do it with Renora. Well, they did do one. They did one with Renora, and it was not great. At least it was just a clue for what would happen in the future. I was okay with that. The moment itself was not great, but it's a clue for something. I did forgive a lot of the cringy Bumblebee stuff. I didn't like the selfie, though. I mean, the selfie was pretty bad. But I can forgive that if it's going to go somewhere, but I don't like it. This I cannot forgive because where it's going, or where they are teasing or baiting that it's going, is a fucking terrible place. That's why this is unforgivable. I also think this is not quite as cringy as the selfie, right? I don't think it's that bad.
No.
This is the second cringiest. I think
At least the selfie was good meme fuel.
Well, and at least with this, like, it starts off from a place of like just genuine wanting to touch base about Ironwood.
But it's like it's that simple. Why are they like awkwardly like giggling with each other? For what reason?
Yeah.
That's the thing
It's-
that makes no sense and why it's like partly why it's so terrible.
It's like,
Where is this
you know
coming
what
from?
you know what it feels like? It feels like it feels like two families, and then they have kids, and then two of the kids from the two families that know each other end up like getting into a relationship and start having sex, and they're about to like drop the bomb that they've hooked up. That's kind of what it feels like if you think about it. Like the way that they're acting about it,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like to me.
It's really
It's cringe.
weird.
It's cringe and weird.
It's
Yeah.
really cringy, and
Mm.
I think partly because it went on for so long was why I disliked it more than some of the other ones. Like it just, it felt like it went on
and like to
for
be
a
fair,
long
like
time.
cringe isn't bad. Like you should
I think
cringe
it
a
is
little.
in this case.
Well,
I mean,
yes,
yeah,
but
okay.
like
There's no actual evidence for this ship. Okay.
Yeah,
the
this is
first time
true.
We've seen them. This is the first time we've seen them awkwardly flirting. Okay. This I have to admit is evidence that there's something going on there because this was very obviously some sort of awkward flirting. I
Yeah.
can't deny that.
this is true.
I fucking hate it with a burning passion, but I can't deny that it's there. It's terrible. It's awful. It's awkward. It's not cute. It's not funny. There's no evidence behind it. There's no previous interactions between them that would make you think that they would act like this with each other. That's another issue. Again, it's not like Renora where we meet them and you can tell right the fuck away Nora is in love with Ren and everybody thinks they're a couple. It's obvious, right? You got that's right the fuck in front. This you got none of that shit, right?
Yeah.
And you don't or like Jean, there's clues that there's hints that and like little pieces of information that he likes Weiss before he actually like tries to ask her out. You know what I mean? It doesn't just come out of nowhere. You just all of a sudden-
Tall,
And then-
blonde, and scraggly.
I
yeah,
will-
and just fuck this ship in general, okay? He is Ironwood, all right?
You mean Ozpin?
Or Ozpin, sorry. Whatever, my
Yeah.
bad. Sorry, Ironwood. I did not mean to insult you that much. That is I apologize. You are a infinitely better character than Ozpin or Osktard. I'm back to using Osktard, by the way. That's his name again.
I will say this from
What?
my own personal experience. When back in the day, I went to a party at my dad's best friend's house. And
Is this the
there was
Halloween
this
college party you told me about a couple days ago?
This is a different one. This is a different one, but it led to much the same result that I didn't understand back then because I didn't understand that I was like a handsome, charming guy back then because I was still in my teens. But basically, there was this chick there who was a friend of my dad's friend that I didn't know. Well, she was the daughter of that friend, so it's like we got more removal, right? And so I'm just hanging out near the pool table, right, shooting some fucking pool with some of the other guys my age there, and my sis comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, can I talk to you over here for a second?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What's going on?" And she drags me over there, and and she's like, "So that girl you were talking to before, she told me she's into you." And I'm like, "I've known her for 5 fucking minutes. What the hell is this shit?" Turns out it's because I'm a sexy ass dude. But I didn't know that at the time, like I said. And so it felt really cringy and awkward to me. And I immediately was like, well, just kind of get her to back off, but do it politely so she doesn't go fucking nuts on me. And
And I can understand. See, like, and the thing is that yours kind of makes more sense because it's like a kind of one-sided thing. Like you said, like
Yeah.
she's into you. You're not like understanding really what's going on, right? Like I can understand why. I could understand possibly why Oscar's into her. You've kind of seen a little bit of that slightly before, but why is Ruby like reciprocating this awkward flirting? What reason does she have?
This awkward
Yeah,
15-year-old kid.
I'd rather Ruby be completely asexual than.
Oh,
have her-
absolutely.
No, she's not
Never
asexual.
have Rose
She's
Garden happen.
amosexual. That handle sees a lot of use. That's all I'm gonna say.
Fine. I actually, honestly, at this point in the show, with the way things were going, I actually was kind of starting to get on the train of Ruby ending up with nobody at the end of the show, not even Jean or Weiss or whatever. I was kind of getting on that train, And I would way rather have that happen than Rose Garden. Oh my! Even just for a little bit. I don't want Rose Garden to happen for a fucking second.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Okay, and we have to reiterate this because it's been a while since I've really shat on Oscar. Okay, so I have to remind everybody who is either new to this podcast or hasn't listened in a while why this relationship is crap. Okay, first of all, Ozpin's inside of this little 15-year-old boy, which is creepy enough on its own. Okay, and Ozpin sucks. That's already bad enough. All right, but him being inside of Ozpin and then being any part of a relationship with RWBY is fucking creepy as all get out. All right.
Hey,
That's
now-
like what's the thing? Like you put
now
you on
to
creep
defend-
island
And
to
it's,
drink
and
creep
it's not,
nectar.
and it's not even it's not even so much the age thing, because I mean, once you hit 100 years old, you kind of
Yeah, no, it's not that
giving a
age
fuck.
difference. It's
But
still like he was her
how-
teacher.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was the
it's-
headmaster. Okay, yeah, no, it's not the
Yeah,
he's
this is like
thousands
a-
of years old. Like once you get to that point, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
what the
it's
fuck.
not like Tuck Ever. Yeah, this isn't like Tuck Everlasting where it kind of worked.
It's
Well, it's
I'm
like-
sorry, but Oscar is not mature enough for RWBY at this point. Also, like I understand, like their age difference is not that great. I'm not.
I mean,
gonna
they're
get this-
trying to mature him by like
It's not-
decades for some reason.
Yeah, they're all of a sudden he's not like what we've seen so far. He's also still a shitty character. He has no character. Okay, the way he was introduced into the show, he made no decisions. He is literally just an empty vessel for Ozpin. And yes, I have
He
said
is still
recently.
the near to Ozpin's L.
Yeah, I've said recently that, yeah, at least he's saying smart things now. They're getting to say smart things, so he's a little bit less hateable. I still prefer he's dead, but at least he's not as awful as before, because it used to be, not only did he have no character, every time he opened his fucking mouth, he said something that was something that a person with 20 IQ would say. Okay? He would say the dumbest shit. And at least he's not doing that anymore, but he still has absolutely no character at all. There's no reason to care about this person. And somebody who just comes in randomly, is a vessel for a shitty character in the first place, Ozpin, and has no character of his own, does not deserve to be in a relationship with the main character of the fucking show.
Yeah.
So
And
Rose
I would
Garden
even-
is stupid. Objectively, Rose Garden is trash. You can
And I
like
would
any other
have
ship or whatever. Rose Garden is the one I will say in this case, like it's objectively terrible.
Now,
Right?
to be fair to Oscar, just imagine how terrible Oscar would feel whenever it's the end of the series, and to get sailed for doing her things, Ozpin's gonna be like, "Sorry, Oscar, I got to take a hit for this team real quick," as he has to have sex with his estranged wife, and Oscar is just along for the fucking ride.
You know, I was trying to make an actual point here, high powered, you know?
You see, you did make your point,
But
but
no,
I also
Oscar
had
is
to root it
still-
at the same time. I love you, dude.
Oscar is still just Ozpin 2.0. I would even say, like, oh, you sound like we're there. Like, he's still
That's
just
what
turning
ruined it
into
for me.
Ozpin.
Yeah.
Like I could deal with this cringe, because honestly, the only cringe part was right at the end when he's like, "Hey." That was the only part that actually made me cringe. The rest of this kind of annoyed me, but even all of it together only lasts like 20 to 30 seconds. Like it's an extremely small part of this.
It felt like 2 minutes, though.
It felt like
But-
2 minutes. That's what the problem was to me.
Yes.
It felt like it was going on forever.
But the fact that after that, and after they even make fun of that, which I'll get to that when I'm on my soapbox, 'cause I actually have some good things to say about that scene. None of it involving
Okay.
Oscar and Ruby.
Uh,
But the thing that really ruined it was the next scene with Oscar and Ironwood, where Ironwood's like, "Wait, you sound like you were there." I'm like, "Oh no, Ozpin is back." And
he's still turning
slowly,
into it.
and he's slowly, like through osmosis.
Is that a bad thing,
Osmos.
though, honestly?
Osmos.
Because the reason I
Fucking-
would say that's not a bad thing is because that means they cannot possibly make Rose Garden happen. Because if they made Rose Garden happen
Osmosis.
with Ozpin becoming the dominant personality, there'd be a lot more people throwing shit at that.
so-
Rooster
in the
Teeth
long-
would never. Rooster Teeth would not live that down.
In the
Ruby
long
would not
term,
live it down.
I'm very okay with if like a 50-50 like control, like 50-50 ownership of the flesh that is Oscar between Oscar and Ozpin. I feel that's ideally the best way to go at it. Is
Well, that's how like Yu-Gi-Oh did it with the Pharaoh.
hey, just remember
And
we
that was
gotta we
way
gotta
better, and that's a fucking show about about adults playing children's trading cards
to the
and
death.
They did,
The
and they
Solve
did,
problems.
and they did the dead spirit in the body of the little boy thing 1,000 times better. How?
Hey,
You know
and-
what
How
was
is this
funny?
possible?
In that
Because you can tell
series,
the difference.
the female character was lusting after Yu-Gi-Oh, but whenever it was taken mind controlled by the old pharaoh, and of course the old pharaoh man is able to pull fucking pussy like it's no one's business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, it was better done in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series than it's being done in RWBY.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
all we gotta wait for is actually this does bring up the idea that Oscar could have beaten Jacques in a card game and caused him to want to commit suicide like Kaiba tried.
Oh god, you know what I'm thinking now is the robot chicken sketch where Superman is like having sex with Lois Lane, and then Superman's dad is like, now try to spell the Kryptonian alphabet on her, and he's like, ah, fucking doll. And I'm like, god damn. And then Superman's like, Dad.
I think it's in Batman's abridged sort of series for RWBY, where like the entire Ozpin Salem conflict is just a game of the floor is lava and Magic the Gathering.
Mm,
Oh.
So my little soapbox on this. God bless Marrow. I really feel like I don't know which one of the writers came up with Marrow, but it really seems like Marrow is an answer to all the people who are complaining about shipping in prior volumes, which I complained about people complaining about ships in prior volumes, but in this it really it allows them to go a lot further with the cringe without it being so insufferable because we always have Marrow to just take
Yeah,
the piss
Marrow's
out of
there
it.
to be like,
To
this is some
roll it
stupid
doesn't say
bullshit.
you kids
Yeah.
are stupid.
That's a good point because Marrow even saved that scene with Weiss
Weiss
shedding
and
her wife's
Blake.
guilt.
Yeah.
Her wife's
Yeah.
guilt
Yeah.
scene. Like Marrow is the reason that scene didn't completely suck.
Marrow
Yeah.
Marrow is the vibe checker of this volume.
Hey, I said I love Marrow. Marrow's gonna be the one who dies because we like him. I hope
Yeah.
not, but that's why he's gonna
Like
die.
he's
We actually give a fuck about him.
like they could have easily made him like just the super insufferable token character because not only is he a faunus, but he's also black. But instead he ends up being like the most apolitical sort of red pill person on the entire ASOS.
Yeah, it's actually really awesome.
He's literally the guy where he's like, yeah, politics are fake and gay, and that's his opinion about politics.
Fucking what's her face? Trans girl, Marigold, tried to be typical white girl to him. Be like, how dare you not be offended by this? And Marrow's like, because I'm not, and you don't speak for me.
Yeah.
Can I
And he's just like dabbing faintly in the background.
Yeah, I know it.
I know
because
we're
you
shitting-
don't because being trans doesn't mean you speak for me.
I know that we're shitting on this episode a bit, but I still have to give credit to the writers overall because again, if this is the worst episode, it's not like this is nothing
don't even
compared
think
to.
it's as
I
bad
mean, this is still in the running for
Like,
like
I
the
don't think
third
it's
best
like, is
volume.
it bad? But is it actually bad? Like,
I don't think
not
it's terrible.
Really. Yeah.
Again, it depends on how it goes. Like, that's what I'm saying. If this is the most upset I've been in an episode in this volume so far, and I'm really only mad at the Oscar part.
We've had
Everything else is
4-hour-long
like,
podcasts over bad episodes.
yeah, it's not that bad. And the other thing I got to give them credit for, we all were afraid of like these new writers they hired. They're just gonna turn it into an freaking left-wing commie party
Or a
whatever.
young adult novel.
Yeah,
Mm.
and honestly, they haven't. Let's be honest, they really fucking haven't.
Yet.
I gotta give them, I know, but still, so far, nope. That's not what every
Yeah.
fiber of my being would have expected. I would have bet a lot of money that that's what they would have done with Marrow, and they didn't. And so I am happy about that. That is good. This so far, like, there's nothing like overarchingly terrible about this volume, like there have been with other volumes.
Yeah, I don't even think this is the worst episode of the volume. I still think it's probably episode 4, which was the big like montage thing that had. No, episode
Yeah.
4 was the one with the selfie.
I still just this one, the way they wrapped everything up so neatly is
yeah.
why I would have
It's
like more
disappointing.
objectively say that's why this is the worst episode.
Yeah,
My least favorite part was
it's
Oscar, but
disappointing.
that's
It-
not.
It's disappointing, and it highlights a lot of problems that this volume is going to inevitably have. Because even if this action better be damn good, considering how much they skipped, and even if it is damn good, it's going to be like, okay, why didn't they parse this out a little better and a little more evenly?
Yeah.
And I mean, at least, and I have to give him like another little piece of credit. At least this volume wrapped up, at least some parts of it wrapped up, because one of the actual main like characters, Weiss, took action and did something. At least that's why. At least it didn't.
Of
that
her
part
own
didn't
accord,
wrap up.
also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At least that's the reason. So I'm not mad about that. Like they didn't just let it happen. It was too easy, but at least it's because a character did something.
I'm more surprised they didn't have like a cutaway scene of like that lasted a minute where she's like, "Ruby, look at this," and like she just ran straight off to fucking crash the party. I'm kind of surprised about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad she did. I was like, hey, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna fucking do this. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And I
it's
am
like you
curious.
said, it's gonna be like we got basically now. The entire rest of this whole thing is probably going to be nothing but action.
One prolonged
much.
fight scene.
Wait,
More
how
or
many more
less.
episodes do we have?
4.
Four, yeah. So it's going to be
4 total.
It's probably going to be 3 episodes of action and then 1 episode of like
Like
politics
and resolution and stuff.
yeah.
Because that's how the last 2. That's actually how every volume has
And
been.
remind me before the
you know,
end.
like-
I have to talk about the Renora moment before this volume,
Yeah.
before this podcast ends. We don't have to do it right
Yeah,
now. But
like ever since volume 2, they've always done like, okay, the finale, first half or first third is action, and then the rest is just resolution and setting up stuff for the next volume.
So are
That's
we
how volume
on?
2, 3, 4,
Are
5,
we?
and 6 were.
We're getting on to the plane part, right, where they're flying down
Yeah.
the mantle.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Yeah,
I have
we
a
already
legit.
talked about the new Grim.
I have a
there's some slick
question.
stuff.
Out of any, okay, assuming Clover is straight, out of all the members on the Aesop team, who is he most likely to have sex with out of the entire team? Because it's probably not the ruddy fast lady. I would assume it's the
Elm.
Yeah, it's probably Elm. If he was gonna,
I don't think it's gonna be any of them. Honestly, I think this is a question of futility because it's already been established that the Aesops aren't exactly like friends. That they are colleagues.
That's true.
in a
Which
I
is
mean,
sense.
kind
that
of
doesn't
bullshit.
say
I
that you
do-
can't have sex with your female counterparts that your colleagues
I
do.
do need to
coworkers.
kind of like point that out that like that's not really a good way of going about it. If you want to get the sort of like, and honestly, they don't really go with that vibe. They don't seem like they're overly professional with each other. They
No.
just seem like they're kind of buddy buddy.
Yeah,
Like-
that seemed like a bit of a throwaway line. Like it doesn't seem like it's really affected.
They seem
anything
like
that they've
roommates that
done.
respect each other's space.
Which
Maybe.
is like one way to go about it, but you're still like you can still have a fucking beer with them and stuff and still hang out.
Yeah,
with
you can still
friends.
slip your penis into another one. It ain't no big deal.
As a matter of fact, you got to do it every night if you want to live right. That's a rule of life.
Especially if you could be eaten by a Grim the next day.
Hell yeah.
That's actually, and that's a good point, Coop, because it does feel like they are still acting more like not as close as like Team RWBY is, but they don't feel like they're as
Well, they only don't
distant.
seem as close because they don't get as much time to show
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah,
So you think Clover and Elm are fuck buddies or something?
eh,
I have a
Like,
feeling. I have a
I'm
feeling Clover
I'm
probably
tired
dinked.
and I'm pent up. Let's do this.
Clover seems like the guy who has occasionally dipped his quill into an inkwell every once in a while from the team ink. Whatever the inks contained in.
it's an
That
inkwell.
got away
Yeah.
from you there, didn't it?
Yeah. But then again,
and-
too, it's like, well, we're fighting with each other and stuff. It's like, well, I mean, this is what I've said before too. Also, my like shitty headcanon. It's like you spend a lot of these times fighting and almost dying with these people. Eventually, someone on that team's gonna have sex with someone else, because nothing makes people want to have sex more than almost fucking dying.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's one of
It's
the
one of those things where, like, when people complain too much about not wanting, like, shipping, it's like, these, like, kids are, like, what, they're 18, 19 years old now? Are you fucking kidding me?
And they're
Are
living in
you
a
fucking
society
kidding me?
where
Are you
like
fucking kidding me?
people
Like,
are
that's
dying all the
ridiculous.
time.
So, so speaking of throwaway lines, if that line about them, like, not being close to the throwaway line, how about that Ren line where he was being a fucking soldier boy with Ironwood? Because
Yeah.
they still haven't addressed anything with that. It's as if he didn't say it. The thing that was weird to me is the previous episode where they acted like where Ren and Nora were basically doing a Laurel and Hardy routine, as media correctly pointed out.
Yes.
What I thought the problem was with that episode where they acted like a Laurel and Hardy routine and they didn't address Ren's kind of reaction or whatever he said to Iron, like where he's basically acting like Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
But now with this episode, they're still not addressing it, and more than that, we get a nice little Renora moment where they like she grabs his hand and he grabs it back, and they actually are like, I don't know if it's like cuddling, but they're laying on each other. Like they are like actually leaning on each other. They're acting like a couple would before going into a big scary battle. They're relying on each other, right? I think it's. I mean, does anybody disagree? They're basically acting like a couple here.
Oh.
Okay.
No, that I mean, if I was a character in this universe about to go into battle with my waifu, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna give you a big old kiss and a hug, and then we're gonna go fucking kill some shit, and then I'm gonna lace some pipe whenever we get done.
Yeah.
Okay, but as far as Ren goes, this is acting like that. So again, where is addressing like Ren acting the way he did 2 episodes ago?
Nowhere. I think it's gonna go nowhere
yes,
because
that's
now
what I
the
think
whole
too.
thing with because now the whole conflict there is resolved effectively.
Yeah.
You know, Ironwood and Robin are on the same page now. They're saving Mantle. They're doing the right thing. There's no conflict left
Yep.
there that was set up in that.
But then they
I
might
mean,
as well have not even
like,
had that.
Yes.
whole-
What the fuck was the point?
I'm gonna throw you under the bus real quick, dude. So you're a married man, right?
No, not yet. Engaged. But
Okay, well,
same thing.
you're a girl. Yeah, same thing. So your girlfriend's like you and your girlfriend have probably done things that
and stuff.
that the other doesn't agree with. And sometimes it's better just to, be like a duck and let the water roll off your back and not say anything about it. So
that's a good point. You're
so
not wrong.
I feel like this is just one of those things where it's like, it's like what I said. It's sometimes you gotta keep politics out of the bedroom. So
I agree with that. You're not wrong. Totally
In
agree.
real
with you.
life.
now in
Yes,
real life
exactly.
that's the case.
In real
But this
life,
is a
and-
show with anime
Yes.
characters that we want to
Yes,
see them do this.
exactly. Like they would. Ren and Nora don't get that many scenes together, even in this volume where they actually became a fucking couple. And so they chose to do a scene and give Ren a line that should be consequential. Okay, Chekhov's gun. If the gun's on the wall, it needs to be fired in the next scene. Okay, that's literally what it is. Why did he say that?
Fiction is real life with the boring parts cut out of it.
Yeah.
So, sorry. So, yes,
More
there
like
could
the
have been, so
whoring
like that
parts slut out of it. Got him.
Sure. But yeah, so like fiction is real life with the boring parts cut out of it. So they could have very easily had like this whole thing so like that whole thing of Ren, kind of agreeing with Ironwood, and while Nora is, opposing him. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens in real life, but in fiction, that's something you just leave out. If it's not gonna have any kind of payoff, if it's not going to be discussed, if it's not relevant to like the characters and their development, then it doesn't matter. Then you
Yeah.
shouldn't have it. So
And I'm fine with if they just become a cute couple. That's fine. I always like I prefer them to talk a little bit more about what their relationship is, but fine. Just become a cute couple. I don't care. That's fine with me. But then just what is this setting something up and then not doing something with it? It's the same thing as we just talked about with the Aesops, but this is actually kind of worse because this is more of like a plot point for two characters, right? But like same thing with Aesops, like okay, they're acting not like what they said they were.
Here's the thing with them.
You know what's
What you
funny
need
is what they brought to mind is sorry to cut you off, Coop. My bad. You go.
sorry.
You go.
No,
Yeah, go ahead.
I
I
was
want to hear
just
what Coop was gonna say. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that like if they had basically done like from the beginning, like legitimately, we don't need this much conflict between them or drama or anything. If they had
Yeah.
just done from the beginning and been like they're basically acting like an old married couple from the right at the start, and they just eventually are like, you know what, yeah, we're into each other, and then they continue acting the exact same way as they originally did, that would be fine by everybody. But
yeah, they
like,
should have done. They should have gotten together back in Volume 4,
they should have gotten together back in like Volume
5.
2.
You know what
Fuck it.
most
I mean, yeah.
relationships in RWBY to me feel like, or like how it would work in the universe. So I don't know if any of y'all have played Skyrim, but if you want to
Oh.
get married in Skyrim, you literally walk up to
Yeah.
a fucking priest and it's like, hey, give me some money to buy this necklace, and then you like hand it to some random like 4 or 5 female NPCs, and then the female NPC's like, yeah, fuck it, let's get married, and that's basically what happens. And I'm like, huh, okay.
Pretty much.
That seems pretty reasonable for this environment too. Also, it's like, yeah, let's get married, whatever. We'll have kids and we'll hate each other, but you know, it's okay.
She just stays at one of your houses and makes you pie every day.
Man, that sounds like
I
a
feel
fucking
like
dream
that,
right
man.
there.
And
It's like-
apparently
feel like
runs a
that.
shop out of your house. That's weird.
If
Oh,
only
yeah.
real society were this easy.
Yeah, all I had to do to marry that one lady in fucking that one city was bring her some fucking elk tusks.
pelts.
Some
Oh,
no, not
oh.
bear pelts. It was mammoth tusks. Mammoth tusks
Yeah.
because she needed to trade it for skooma to the Khajiit traders.
I
and-
married.
What are we
Lydia,
talking
and I married Lydia,
Skyrim.
your little buddy that you get in Whiterun.
Well, Lydia's a little weird for the marriage because, like, Lydia's basically like, well, I'll do whatever you say.
Yeah, she's already basically your slave.
Exactly.
Yeah, Lydia's essentially like your slave.
So you were just like, let's
Yeah.
make it official, or even
Well, I
official.
also just think Lydia was very cute.
Well, I mean, even
Right.
unmodded, Lydia's pretty attractive. And once you throw in them big titty anime mods,
Oh my.
then things really get going there.
I do not play Skyrim with mods except for like the Ruby weapon mod because Megan Hill is so fucking OP. I played that on stream when I first got it. When I first got them.
Okay, so speaking of Mag and Hild, like, can we just like why can they just figure out what you like? Why they do that line? Like, if nothing comes up with it for the rest of the volume, then yeah, it was clearly like a throwaway line that I don't know why they did it, and I'd be okay with that. But like, it's just annoying that like, it's not nervous. Like I don't want to be nervous about it.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
And again,
I
Chekhov's
mean,
gun. Like, don't do something
Yeah.
if it's not going to matter. That's
Anyway, finishing on my story about like when I was streaming, I got to that first like frost troll when you're climbing up the mountain, and I was like, I remember this guy being really tough. One shot at him with Mag and Hill. I was like, oh, this weapon's busted.
mm,
You see,
Yeah.
I just remember my Skyrim playthroughs, and it's like, okay, I gotta cheese like my blacksmithing skills so I can build all of the bikini armor for Lydia and have her dressed up all nice for me as we run around and do quests and stuff. And then I download some other mods where you don't want to get beaten as a female character, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
God damn it, hype. so next scene we get is they're all in the show. Oh god, I hate the fucking little look that Blake gives Yang.
I'll be honest.
Blake a
Yeah,
look.
so are
Oh,
they
that was-
supposed to
yeah,
be a
Blake is
thing now
eating-
or not? Like, what's going on? I don't know. Again, like we.
It's
they
so
just-
hard to tell with Blake and Yang. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
like
it
for
looks
me,
almost
it's
like they're looking at them like enviously or something, which is weird because we're still not sure where Ren and Nora are.
Well, no, that's why I like it. That's why I forgot to talk about that. I actually really like that look because it that actually further confirms them as a couple, because it's clearly Yang was looking at them with envy.
It's like, yeah, that's what we should be doing, and then, you know, obviously sharing
and
a
again,
double-ended
like,
toy with us between
I
the two
also
of
like
us.
it because, look, it looks like they're going to do something with Bumblebee. Whether they confirm it or not, it's going to come to a head at some point, okay? Like, so that's a nice, non-cringy way to show, yes, we're still going to do something with this. And it's not necessarily baiting. Like, it's showing that Yang has feelings for Blake. That's clear, all right? And that's fine.
Oh, God.
I don't care Black Sun versus... I do. I slightly prefer Bumblebee for literally no reason.
What if they make Yang a lesbian, but Blake's bi? And then that has like a weird dynamic too, where it's like,
Well,
but I really like.
We know they're both bi. They're both bisexual. Yang is attracted to men.
Oh yeah,
Blake
that's
was
right.
attracted to
That's
Sam.
right. We got Banana Split. I forgot about Banana
We always
Split.
said the OT3 is Banana Split.
Yeah, it's Banana Split.
And Blake is already confirmed to have like, you know, fucked Adam basically.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that is implied.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is that in the comics or is that in the show?
Yeah, they totally kiss and stuff, and it's, you know, they're both like they're teenagers that live basically alone by themselves.
So
And
this
that's
goes into this,
story.
right? And then Adam's like, I don't know. Shrugs.
So continuing on, I actually really like this cut with Robin is outside in the hallway with the two other counselors. And she has this look, and it's a shot of her and then the door, and then it cuts to Ironwood on the other side of the door, and Ironwood is right where Robin was in the shot. It's a match. It's a very well done match cut.
I thought it was a little wonky, but
And Ironwood is finding out the news, and we already talked about that scene. Ironwood takes it pretty well. He's kind of freaking out a little bit, but it's like, okay, no, I gotta focus on the thing. Then we got the scene that we talked about earlier with the dragons attacking the ship.
Yeah.
We actually get a reference to Jean getting airsick. For the first
yeah,
time
he's
since
like,
Volume 1.
yeah,
Yeah.
he looks like he's about to vomit. Gets a little nauseous.
Yeah, and so the ship starts to go down. Clover uses his good luck to use the engine to smack one of them in the face, and then they all drop down into the city.
Oh, that's what.
And then yeah, and then we
And
get
it looks like
Jacques
Ruby
getting carried
and
away.
yeah, it looks like Ruby and Harriet are going to be teaming
Yeah.
up. I mean, they said, okay, you all have your like team ups or whatever. I'm curious to see who all teams
Yeah.
up with who, and hopefully we have an actual action scene and people actually do things.
Yeah, the only problem I had with it was that they should have played Ride of the Valkyries, but even then,
There you
like,
go. Na, 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 na.
Yeah.
Wow,
we'll see
you
what the
you
actual
being a
scenes are
Marine choosing
later.
Ride of the Valkyries, not Fortunate Son as they're rolling in on the gunship.
I understand that they have a copyright claim that would prevent that. Anybody can
Yes.
play Ride of the Valkyries, though.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Flight of the Valkyries is royalty free.
Mm.
So yeah, Crow and Clover are the last people to jump out of the ship. And then it cuts to Jacques getting carried away. We got Willow being all thankful and Whitley being all kind of pouty.
Howdy.
As
So
he-
either
Whitley-
he's
Whitley
gonna go
becoming a
full
supervillain.
supervillain,
Yeah.
or Willow or Weiss is gonna or Willow's gonna have to start
Yeah.
being a mom, or
I mean,
Weiss is
I
gonna
think-
have to
I
start
think
being
that's
a
I
gonna
hope
be a
it's
volume
Weiss.
8.
I hope it's Weiss.
It would be better if it was Weiss, yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a volume 8 thing, because I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of like
Yeah. I would like to see that
emotional
though in Volume 8.
like that.
Honestly, I actually think
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. I don't. I
Like,
I
do you think we're just about to
understand-
get 4 episodes
No,
of basically
I hope that that Weiss tries to mend fences with Whitley. I really
Yeah,
do.
I think that'd actually be
Yeah,
really good.
It would be good. I would like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought it was
And-
kind of
and
funny
we
when
got the
Clover's
super
like,
scene, I
okay,
think.
guys, our priority is protecting civilian, not killing Grimm. Like, these guys were
Yes.
at the breach. These guys were at the Battle of Beacon. They fucking know that.
Is that also like basically not the same thing too? Like,
Yeah, the
you don't
best
have
way
to
to protect civilians is to kill the
Well,
people
it's
who are
that
trying to.
fucking Last
Yeah.
Jedi bullshit. We don't destroy what we hate. We protect what we love. As I nearly kill you
I think it's
and the
just
entire
don't
resistance,
jump in.
and somehow
I
get a
think
promotion.
I think it's just like don't jump into a horde of Grim if there's a bunch of.
And then I'm gonna kiss
you know,
you, and then I'm gonna
civilians
have
about to
3
get
lines in
eaten.
the next movie.
Ha!
God, I can't believe that there's actual Rose Tico stands out there. She's all.
Also, the other funny thing about it, and I have to give credit to John Boyega for this, by the
Yeah.
way, is him as an actor. He doesn't give a fuck about Rose, and he's been interviewed after the movie came out, and he's like, he said something along the lines basically of, now that Kylo Ren's dead, sorry, spoilers, now that Kylo Ren's dead, Finn gets to tap Rose basically, and then like
Yeah.
somebody
Ha!
got mad at him. Somebody got mad at him, and he did
Oh,
not back
yeah.
down at
yeah, he
all. And I'm like,
fucking-
you know what?
Wait, he gets to tap Rose or Ray?
Right, sorry, Ray. I don't know. Sorry, Ray. He gets to tap Ray now that Kylo Ren's dead,
Finn's like,
And-
I'm gonna give her that BBC.
and he did
Oh,
not
is
back
that
down
what he
at
what he
all.
wanted to? Because we never find out in the movie what he was trying to tell.
Yeah, that and oh
Sorry.
God.
I just gotta
We'll
give
have
him
to do a
credit
Rise of
because
Skywalker
we will
I
podcast
just
talk.
sometime in the
yeah.
next week.
I just gotta give him credit for like not backing down on that shit. Like, nah, fuck
After the
Rose.
Yeah, after we do the Mandalorian podcast, we'll
Yeah.
figure out a date
Yeah.
to do a Rise of Skywalker podcast.
Yeah.
I
And
still
we
need
could
to
also
watch that
probably tie in
movie.
solo because we never did a solo podcast either.
I also
We should
still
probably
need to
do
watch
both.
that
yeah.
movie also.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
watched
We could
I've
probably
seen
do both of
Solo.
them like we did with
You
the
guys are-
Force Awakens because we did Force Awakens and Rogue One in the same podcast. We could totally do that with Solo and Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, anyway, is there anything really left
No, Cinder
after
Scene
that?
and we already
Neo
kind of talked
and
about.
Cinder
We
are-
already
Cinder
kind
are
of
back.
talked about that. They're
Yeah.
going to be after Ruby probably.
And the fandom
I
is
just hope
still
they
being retarded about how good she's not.
Yeah, I
There is
just
no-
hope that I just hope that they don't get jobbed out by the end of this volume and
That's true.
end up being
yeah.
a waste of time.
They
I've
probably
been
will.
seeing that too. People are like, "Oh, they're just there to die." No, they're fucking not. They're not that
They
stupid.
better not be.
Yeah.
It's a-
Okay, I
it's a
hope they're
possibility.
probably
Yeah,
not that
so-
stupid.
So one last thing before we get into questions. I just wanted to point out that this episode was written by Eddie and Kiersey, the two new writers. Last episode was written by Miles. Now Eddie has recently gone on Twitter saying that he wanted to avoid repeated dialogue and repeated exposition
Oh,
because they
God.
had complaints about that in prior volumes. Um,
He's pulling
and
a
he
Ryan
was-
Johnson.
and he was worried that they did. He was actually worried that they did too much in this episode, but thought that they did a good job. Eddie, I know you're probably not listening to this at this point, but you didn't really stick the landing on that, dude.
But if you are, you should
but-
totally join the Discord and talk to us
but-
about it.
Mm.
Yeah, but you did a lot better job than Miles did last episode because that was my main complaint of episode 8 was that Miles loves repeated exposition and covered that last episode with it. And it brought this episode down. Like these two episodes kind of sucked because episode 8 didn't do enough and episode 9 did too much. Again, they needed to parse this out a lot better. Because right now it's like all the butter is on one part of the toast.
Mm. I don't think Eddie would like talking to us because
No.
with how gay he is, he'd be the subject of several things that he might not appreciate.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I agree. Like, I think they shot their load too fast. They just had all these reveals, killed all these conflicts. And to be fair, like these conflicts, like one good thing to be said is that most of the conflicts that got resolved here still mattered. Like Ironwood keeping secrets, Jacques as a councilman, and like that stuff still mattered. It still led into what's happening now. Part of my frustration with Ruby, like, I don't know, not being sure about telling Ironwood is that it feels like it like it just feels like it didn't really affect the plot in any way or anything other than just like, I don't know, Ironwood learns a new thing in this episode, it yeah, it just feels like they had too much going on, like they just, shut it all down way too quickly, and they could have done a lot of more interesting things with it, especially if they're gonna, keep the volume going, if they're still going to um have stuff going, if there's still going to be an Atlas next volume.
Yes.
And yeah, this is feeling like it's, I don't know, depending on what happens in these next few episodes, this, I don't know, is looking kind of like it might be a Bossing Say thing where everything goes to shit. But
Yeah,
maybe not, who knows.
yeah, I was
And
disappointed
I'm
with
still
it.
hoping that Oscar dies. I want Neo to murder Oscar, cut
Oh,
his
yeah.
heart out, and
Oh, yeah.
show it to him, then make out with Cinder so that everyone knows that he'll never be a good guy.
Oh yeah, now we gotta
So we
ask.
can
Now we
finally
gotta.
be
Now
rid
we
of
gotta
him.
bring up the Cinder and Neo question too, also, because they just showed up.
Yeah. I'm assuming they're going after Ruby.
That's
but
that's
I'm
the
not sure.
that's the
Well,
implication.
Team Ruby and stuff have been in Atlas for several weeks at this point.
Yes.
At least a couple episodes ago, Twitter was like, yeah, it's been like a month since you guys showed up.
Yeah. And they were a couple of weeks behind them, so
Yeah. So
makes sense that
I think they only
who knows how long
recently
they've
showed.
been
I
there.
think they only recently showed up.
They've probably been
I
there like a
think-
week.
I think Neo infiltrated the Schnee Manor because they got word that Ruby was going to be there. Disguised herself as the maid that Weiss runs into, or or just a maid, or
I
whatever.
don't think it was the same one.
I don't remember what the one that Weiss ran into looked like.
She had brown
But I-
hair, and she spoke, and Neo
Yeah.
cannot talk.
Well, no, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That was supposed to be the clue. That the one that Weiss ran into was the real maid. So how
Yeah.
did she like teleport to the diner with all the council members?
Well, obviously
that
the
was
real
the
maid
real
is
person.
passed out in a locker room, in a locker
Yeah.
right now.
Probably.
Passed out.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I just
Yeah, all of her blood has passed out of
Yeah,
her
we'll
throat.
we'll see what happens with them in future episodes.
Yeah, there ain't much to say about it
so
right now.
we ready for questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Question time.
All right. Fidestic FO asked, "Did you feel that the whole line to Ironwood was resolved rather quick, as well as Jacques taken out of the picture?"
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what we talked about. All of it resolved way too easily and quickly.
In those meme images,
That's what
Yes.
we've been talking about. Yes.
Yep, that's what we've been complaining about. It's not good. Yeah.
Mythos Automata complains about the Rose Garden moment. We already complained about
Yes,
that.
it is
answered your
trash
We don't
of the
like it
highest
either, yeah.
order.
Yep.
I like you for hating it too. You are a good person.
CB Henson asked, "Do you guys get the feeling that this volume would be miles better if the writers did a better job communicating with each other instead of this weird game of hot potato with different people writing each episode we have now?" No, because the overall plot details are actually worked out in the writers' room together,
Yeah.
and the individual writers just do the actual dialogue and details and stuff. And we
Yeah.
don't know how much they communicate or anything.
This isn't Star Wars where they're just tossing it around, where they're just
Yeah.
tossing hot
this
potato
isn't
with no
Star
idea
Wars where
what they're
J.J.
doing.
Abrams-
This isn't that bad.
Yeah,
Which
this-
So
this
yeah,
isn't-
no, the basic plot points are the same. The writing
But-
is like the writing and dialogue is maybe a little. I
That-
haven't
that
noticed any
is-
real
that
differences.
that does actually cause a little bit of problems because sometimes, yeah, the overarching thing does filter down to the details, but the details can sometimes come back up and bite the overarching thing in the ass if you don't do them right. Because like the whole, well, Jude will tell you the whole Ren and Nora thing.
You think that's why the Renora thing is going the way it is?
yeah. It's because they're not keeping it
Yeah,
consistent.
I think
Maybe.
I think they're not.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and see who wrote which of those episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's why, but they're not keeping things consistent.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, I don't know if it's a communication issue. It seems like it is, honestly.
Maybe.
Well, I don't
But-
know because Kiersey, Eddie, and Miles all wrote, or so Kiersey and Eddie wrote this episode, and then gonna look up now, try and see who wrote
Here's the reason why I
worst
don't
case
buy.
scenario.
Here's the reason why I don't buy it, because in prior volumes, which had a lot worse communication issues,
True.
they were all written by the same two people, with the same director and everything.
Yeah, no, Eddie
this one has actually been a lot more consistent as far as like logic and plot details and stuff goes, and keeping track of information, which is the absolute hardest thing to do as a writer, is keeping track of who knows what. And pacing out exposition and giving the audience what they need to know when they need to know it. Like, that's the hardest thing to do as a writer, and they've been doing a lot better with this volume than they have in previous volumes when they only had two writers who would work on all the episodes together.
Yeah. So Eddie, Kiersey, and Miles wrote worst case scenario, which is when Ren had the whole yes sir thing, he agreed Ironwood. And then the episode after that was written by Miles, and then this last episode was written by Kiersey and Eddie. So that whole thing. And then Eddie, Kiersey, and Miles also all wrote A Night Off when we had the the kiss. So the same people are writing these same episodes, so it's not hot potato that's causing Ren and Nora to be all bipolar with each other.
I don't think they're being bipolar. They had a conflict, they resolved it with the kiss, and other than that one little blip, everything is that's the one thing. So I wouldn't say bipolar. It's just that one thing that Ren did. That's it. It's not even they're being bipolar. Ren did one weird thing, and it wasn't even to Nora, right? It's just something we think they're going to address. So they're not being bipolar with each other at all. Together, they've been acting as if they're like similar / a couple now. Especially because that Yang look at them when they're like kind of cuddling together, that is like confirmation that she's jealous of them as a couple.
Well,
you know what I mean? So they're not being bipolar with each other.
I was just introducing a little bit of a theory there. I didn't know for sure.
And it was a fair question.
Oh yeah. No,
it was a fair question, but it's not the case.
So next, Rebecca Mitchell asks two questions. Do you think Robin's presence was important to the dinner meeting? Thematically, yes. Thematically, yes. Because it shows that Ironwood is willing to work with Robin to help Mantle, and you wouldn't get that without her presence there.
And it was probably important to Jacques, but it ended up back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes.
And then the second question is, do you think Jacques should have been arrested? Yes, he totally committed treason.
Yeah,
by working with Watts.
There's no practical way around it.
I would argue though that he's gonna be able to fucking plea deal a lot of that shit down though, pretty aggressively in the grand scheme of things.
But if you're talking in terms of like writing and storytelling, I think they should have waited a little longer, given him more time to screw everyone over.
Oh,
that would have been where he ultimately ended up, no matter what. But make it a little bit harder to reach it. That's
so. That actually brings to the next question, which is from Weishni. Do you think Jacques went down too easily?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the same question as before.
Maybe not too easily, but too quickly.
A lot of these are about it being rushed. I just want to give shout outs to everyone who bothered to ask questions, even if they did all ask similar questions.
Fair.
A lot of the problems here are just too much too fast. Like, if that was the only major plot turn that happened in this episode, I don't think it would have felt too fast.
Maybe.
But the fact that it's, we get that, and then we get fucking
I think the reveal of this episode should have been Ironwood telling it.
Yeah.
Let him finish though.
Sorry.
Yeah, we got that, then we got Oscar telling Ironwood about Salem, then we got Cinder showing up, and we got this riot going on, and action, and Grimm, and Goliaths, and robots, and hacking, and it all happens in the span of like a 15-minute episode, which on its own is bad enough, but then last episode was also like 15 minutes, and they didn't do jack shit.
Yeah, it's a weird little contrast.
Yeah.
And the thing I will also say
It's
though,
jarring.
the Jacques one is the one that bothered me the most of like things
Yeah.
that got like resolved too easily. So I would still say even without that, I do think it was too easy.
And then for their second question, they just asked about Cinder and Neo, and second verse, same as the first, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They're back.
And
It's
then,
nice.
and then
Don't
same
really
thing with
know
the,
what to think of it.
same thing with Orestes Lazardus question, asking if it felt rushed. Ruby Moon Rose asked, "How satisfying was watching Weiss bust for her own dad?"
That was pretty cool.
A smug anime grin out of
I'm
10.
glad it was. I'm glad
Yeah.
it was her, not someone else.
I'm glad it was her. I also I actually
Yeah.
did laugh. I don't know if anybody, but I did laugh when she said, "Can I actually do that?"
Yeah.
That actually did make me chuckle. I actually thought that
It was a
kinda funny.
fun scene. It was just
It was
too
all
early.
right. It was
Yeah.
it was totally fine.
Yeah.
Light Dragoon 88 asks, "Wonder if they are going to skip the Grim fights again." They better not. It better be all action
Probably
from here
not.
on out. If any of this is gonna even
I haven't
remotely
predicted
work.
it, so no, they will not.
Yeah. If any of
That's true.
God damn
if
it.
any of this is going to even remotely work whatsoever, they have to have nothing but action from here on out.
More or less.
Kainoa Fernandez asked, "Do you think in the next chapter Willow will go and talk to Whitley?" No, and I also hope not.
Yeah. Maybe in a later episode, but probably not in the next.
Maybe not even in this volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's action time. We're building up to the climax here.
Yeah.
Sean Resendez asked two questions. Between Crow and Robin, who do you think is most likely to get killed this volume? Crow.
Crow.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt they're gonna kill Robin. She has no death.
Yeah, I would definitely say Crow.
I
Oscar.
I don't think they're gonna kill Crow either.
Yeah,
Just saying.
probably not.
No,
Like
he's
they
not.
haven't.
He's not getting very heavy death flash.
Like if
No.
if anyone's dying, it's Clover. Honestly.
Do you know who's? You know what's gonna trigger the? Hey,
Clover or Marrow.
you know
Yeah,
what's gonna
or Marrow.
trigger the fandom in all seriousness is a kiss between Crow and Robin Hill. Is gonna trigger the fuck out of the fandom.
That would.
That also, I mean, that would.
I stand for that now. Just to see.
You know who I'm talking about. It's gonna be mad about
Yes,
it too. Also,
and you know who Highheart and I are both talking about. And
I don't.
want their heads to fucking explode. You
I
know,
do not know who you're talking about.
Yeah, other Ruby tubers.
I figured.
I
but
know.
Hard.
You can tell me who
People who
afterwards.
think Crow's gay all of a sudden.
Second question from Sean. Do you think Cinder should build up her crew by hiring some skilled fighters who could actually be a threat to Team RWBY and maybe the Aesops?
Yeah,
I think
probably.
Cinder having a solid team is always going to work in her favor, but I think right now she's going to try getting RWBY alone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
she's
or
gonna
Ruby-
fight
Ruby and
referee
maybe
Ruby's
one other
ass.
person.
That's literally what's gonna happen. Is Ruby's gonna get fight refereed?
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I think right now Neo's all
that
she really.
could, like, if it is really just Ruby and Harriet by themselves, I could totally see Cinder and Neo jumping them, having a 2-on-2 fight, and then Harriet being.
Yeah, Harriet. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Yeah,
Harriet
you
being
make
the
that
one who
system
dies?
now. Yeah, Harriet could easily die, because Cinder could probably just roll over Harriet in like a second, as soon as she flexes even just a touch of her maiden powers, and then Ruby could get godded by Neo, because then she's gonna be like, "Oh, I gotta save Harriet," and then she gets blindsided, like what happened in Volume 5.
Who's in there?
Mhm.
Whatever happens, I want Neo to fully show off how sadistic and hateful she is.
Yeah,
and
get it
evil.
across to people exactly what's going
It's just
on.
not going to turn good. She needs to do something horrible.
Yeah.
Like kill Oscar. Oh no, not sorry. That's not horrible, but you know what I mean.
Mm.
Well, the fandom won't like
Yeah.
it.
Well,
The
last question.
the dumb fandom won't like it.
Hold up.
Well,
and
they're
then
the ones who think she's good.
The last question is from Will Tritz, and it's just asking if this makes episode 8 worth it. No, not
Yeah.
really. it
Mm.
actually makes me hate that episode more.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of the opposite, actually.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all for questions.
Wait, wasn't this episode 8?
No, this was
That
episode
was
9.
episode 9.
Oh, this
Yeah.
was 9. My bad.
Although I will say, I mean the episode review will come out long before this podcast is up. But I will say I fucking flubbed the line, and I never went back and recorded it. I mean, I guess I could still because I haven't actually rendered it. But I did do, the like, I'm an Awkward 4, and this is my review for RWBY Volume 7, Episode 9. If you haven't seen the episode yet, you may want to before watching this review. I said Episode 8 when I said that.
Wait, are we getting 13 or 14 episodes this
We're
volume?
getting 13.
13.
Okay, so we got 4 more episodes.
Yes.
yep.
Yeah, it's going to be the same as Volume 6. So, any closing thoughts before we wrap this up? I'm pretty
Not
sure-
really.
I'm looking forward to for the better part of 3 episodes to be violence and violence accessories.
Are we basically all saying we're all going to be disappointed if it's not that?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I want death and
Which is
destruction.
new for us, but
I want to see a Goliath break a building. I just want to see a Goliath collapse. a
I want to
building.
see civilians
I
trampled underfoot by the Goliath.
Top volume 1 as badass moment. He's
I
close.
wanna-
He is so close.
I want to see the light disappear from Oscar's eyes.
I do want to
don't-
see RT get the rights to play Fortunate Son like one time.
What's the difference between a disciplined and an undisciplined Grim? While the disciplined ones stand, the undisciplined ones run.
Oh goodness, yeah. So if you like this podcast, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification because subscribing doesn't actually give you the things that you're subscribed to because YouTube is bullshit. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Join the Discord. Links for those are in the description below. And follow me on Twitter at EA Mediocrity 4. And yeah, that's all I have for now.
Later.
Adios.
See ya.
Alrighty, y'all have a good night.